The 3-4 notes, this is going to go over direct variation. So it says, suppose y varies directly as x. Write a direct variation equation that relates x to y, and then solve. So we're going to do two things. One, we're going to figure out what y is. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to write an equation. Both these things are on your test. So here we go. This is actually pretty easy because it says if y equals 4 when x equals 2, find y when x equals 16. If you set up a proportion, so y over x, then this becomes really easy. Y is equal to 4 when x is 2. So we're going to have to figure out what y is when x is 16. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to cross multiply your little butterfly method. And what we have is 2 times y is equal to 4 times 16. Okay, so get your calculator, do 4 times 16. And when you do that, you'll get 2y is equal to 4 times 16. When you type that in, it should get 64. Divide both sides by 2. And we end up with y is equal to, okay, you just type that in, 64 divided by 2, and you'll get 32. So y equals 32. You're halfway done. The second thing that we have to do is we have to write an equation. Okay, so for direct variation, the equation will always be y equals k times x. So what we have to do is we're going to plug in this original piece to find k. So y, it tells me right here y is equal to 4. K, that's what we're solving for. And then I'm going to put my times because I know this is multiplication. X, it tells me right here, x is 2. Okay, well, to get k by itself, we just are going to divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we have k is equal to 4 divided by 2 just gives us 2. Now, this is not an equation, this is just what k is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this value of k and we're going to plug that right back in here for k. So our actual equation is going to be y equals, instead of k, I know k is 2, and then you have x. So every single one of these, you're going to have two answers. You're going to have what either the y or x value is that they ask for, and then you're going to have your equation. Okay, so we'll do a couple more. Like I said, it's not too hard. It's just setting up a proportion, one-step problem, and plugging it back in. So let's look at number 2. Number 2, if y equals 9 when x equals -3, find x when y equals 6. So again, I'm going to set up my proportion. So the first part I'm going to do, y equals 9, x is -3. Find x, so make sure you keep your x's on the bottoms, okay? X is on the bottom, y is in your numerator, when y is 6. There's your proportion. All we have to do is cross multiply. So what you're going to get is 9 times x, so we have 9x, is equal to -3 times 6. Okay, if you don't know your multiplication facts, you'll have a calculator. You can type this in. You have 9 times x is equal to -3 times 6 will be -18. Divide both sides by 9. 9 divided by 9 is just 1. So you have 1x is equal to -18 divided by 9 will give you -2. Okay, so you're halfway done. You answered this part. Now we have to figure out what our equation is. So again, for direct variation, your equation will always be y equals kx. Okay, one more thing that we should note, you can write it up here. When you have y equals kx, this right here, this k, that's known as your constant of variation. So make sure you write this down, because on your homework it's going to ask you what's your constant of variation in this equation. All it is is the number in front of x. It's the same thing as your slope. Okay, they just like to use the letter K so that we know that we're talking about direct variation. And if you notice, you don't have anything added or subtracted back here, so your y-intercept is always 0, 0. So all of these equations for direct variation will go through your origin. Okay, so we're going to go back to writing our equation here. We got to find this K, the constant of variation. So we're going to use this information. You always use what they give you, the y and the x. So y is equal to 9. We've got to figure out what my constant of variation is, and then x is negative 3. So to get k by itself, what we're going to do is we are just going to divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 gives you 1. That's why we're left with 1k. And 9 divided by negative 3 is just negative 3. So we're going to plug this constant of variation, your k, we're just going to go ahead and plug that back in to this k right here. So what we have for our final answer is y equals negative 3x. Okay, one more like this, and then we have our word problem. So number 3, if y equals negative 4.8 when x equals negative 1.6, find x when y equals negative 24. So we're going to do our proportion, y over x. Tells you y is negative 4.8 when x was negative 1.6. Find x, so I'm going to put that on the bottom, when my y is negative 24. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cross multiply. So what we end up with, you have negative 4.8 times x is equal to negative 1.6, okay, times that negative 24. So you're most likely going to have to get your calculator and type this in. I'll give you a second to do that. So negative 1.6 times negative 24. You should get 38.4. Divide both sides by that negative 4.8. Negative 4.8 divided by negative 4.8 gives you just 1x, so x is equal to. You can divide that in your calculator, 38.4 divided by negative 4.8. Hit enter, and it should come out to negative 8. Okay, and the last thing you have to do is your equation. So we have over here y equals k times x. Remember, you always use with what they give you, this first little part. So y was negative 4.8. Okay, we're trying to solve for your constant of variation. That's the same thing as your slope. And x is negative 1.6. So to get k by itself, you divide both sides by negative 1.6. Divide this by negative 1.6. Okay, so negative 1.6 divided by negative 1.6 will just give you k. Negative 4.8 divided by negative 1.6. Go ahead and type that into your calculator and hit enter. And whenever you do that, it should come out to a positive 3. So remember, you're going to plug this in for k because you need your equation. You're not done. As soon as you get your constant of variation, you're not finished and wants to know the equation. So all you got to do is just plug that right back in. So our equation is y equals 3x. All right. And the very last thing that we have here is a word problem. It says the total cost C of bulk jelly beans is $4.49 times the number of, of pounds P. Okay, so it says A, write a direct variation equation that relates the variables. So we have here the total cost, so C, is means equals, says $4.49 times the number of pounds P. So I'm going to just put times P. Okay, so now it says graph the equation on the grid at the right. Well, when we graph this equation, okay, we're going to put this into our y equals. So we're going to rewrite this. Y equals 4.49x. Okay, I'm going to put in parentheses here because these are your notes. We're going to put this in y equals. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. Go ahead and get your calculator and type that into your y equals. So calculator, y equals, we have 4.49, and don't forget your x. Okay, and if you look at our table, we're going from 0, and I can go ahead and fill this in. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go ahead and see what my numbers are in my table. So I'm going to hit second graph. Okay, so at 0, I'm at 0. So I'm going to plot the point 0, 0. So here's 0, 0. At 1, we're at 4.49. So at 1, we're at 4.49. Okay, at 2, so here's my 2, I'm at 8.98. So 2 is 8.98, so right below 9. At 3, so 3 we were 13.47, so right below the 1350. 4 is 17.96, so 17.96 right below here. And then 5 is going to be 22.45, so I'll just go ahead and put that right above here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect to my dots. Connect to my dots. Draw my arrow. And then the last thing we have to do is answer this question. It says find the cost of 3/4 pound of jelly beans. So my cost is equal to 4.49, and we have 3/4 of a pound, so 3/4. And all you have to do is just type that into the calculator and see how much it's going to cost us. So let me get my calculator. Let me go back to my home screen. Clear everything out. Okay, we have 4.49, so 4.49, and we're timesing that by 3/4, so 3 divided by 4. And if you want to put the multiplication sign in between the two, you can put the multiplication sign. It doesn't matter. It'll read it both ways. So it'll cost us $3, and now you have a couple of decimals. Think of this as money we have to round. So $3.37. So put here $3.37 is how much it would cost if we got 3/4 of a pound. All right, and that is it for your 3-4 notes.